Hi there, people of the web-wide world. It's me, Traumador, the Tyrannosaur, I'm out here contemplating all the stuff that's happened to me in the last little while, especially this last week. I find it's easiest for me to do that out here in the Badlands of Alberta. Gives my brain the size of a peanut a bit of a break, because a lot of stuff has happened since last we spoke. Half a year ago, I used to work at the Royal Tyrrell Museum, dinosaur capital of Canada. But there were so many dinosaurs there, they could get picky and choosy, and they wound up laying off some, including me. I decided I needed to find a new home, so I set out on a quest to find 65 million BC, to find the land of the dinosaurs. Find it I did! But unfortunately, they didn't want me to live there. So I returned to Drumheller in hopes I could resume my old life. But there was an old saying that I never got before that I was about to understand all too well. It was a very confusing saying because I'd made it home, but despite the fact I'd actually gotten to Drumheller, I wasn't going to be able to stay there for very long because I had an errand I had to run elsewhere. So off in my car I hopped for the 15-minute drive north. My destination, the small villa of Rowley, home of a saloon that's only open once a month, which is the reason I'm here today, because it was open. It's got a real western decor on the inside, including a moose with a hat. Wait a minute, I've lived in the West my whole life. Since when is having a moose with a hat considered normal or part of the decor? Well, okay, whatever. The real reason Raleigh is famous is for its pizza nights. This was only part of the reason I was here, though. The true reason? I was here to surprise all my museum friends, like my good buddy Cam. Oh, and then there was Krista. Man, she was really excited to see me. Oh, and all the commotion, Warren showed up too. Man, that was pretty cool. My surprise worked perfectly. Everybody was really happy to see me, and they were really interested to hear what had happened since I left the museum. It was a pretty good catch-up. Now, with this social end of my visit done, everybody was ready for my return. It was time for me to get down to business and make sure I actually could stay in Drumheller. So, I got myself back to Drumheller, and my first stop was to check in with my good friend Zilla. Now, you're probably wondering why I call her Zilla, because she doesn't look that big in this photo. Trust me, she's a pretty big girl once you get up beside her. She's the mascot of all Drumheller, and as of such, she's got a pretty good insight into what's going on with dinosaurs in town. Normally she's pretty upbeat, but Zilla painted a pretty bleak picture of Drumheller. Jobs were really hard for us dinosaurs, but even more critical, it was really hard to find shelter. The streets are literally littered with homeless, jobless dinosaurs having to struggle it out in a cold, harsh Alberta winter. Now, I may be warm-blooded, but I don't want to hang out in the snow all day. Unlike those other dinosaurs, though, I had an ace in the hole. In the form of my former roommate, Dan. He was really surprised to see me when I got to his door. So surprised, he was just speechless. He just stood there for a couple of minutes. I had to invite myself in, that's how astounded he was to see me. It was great seeing Dan again. I hadn't seen him in forever. We sat down at the couch to do some catching up. I started telling him all about my adventures, like how I rescued a coelacanth and just got burned by a dragon. Oh, and then there was that electric fence. That really hurt. Going over everything that had happened, the afternoon just seemed to fly by. It's just too bad I ran out of stories, cause Dan just seemed like he couldn't get enough of them. It was in this lull in the conversation I decided this would be a perfect opportunity to see if I could move back in. It was at this point that Dan surprised me by saying no. Turns out that he already had a new dinosaur roommate moved in, a little sauropod called Ricardo. Seeing how happy Dan was and how cute that little Ricardo guy is, only one conclusion came to my mind. I was going to have to eat him. Well, okay, maybe not the best idea at the time, especially considering Dan was there. Boy, did he put up a fight. It made sense at that time, though. I also forgot Dan knew all my weak spots. Boy, I also forgot how much those headlocks he does hurt. He's really good at them. Stupid Ricardo got away. It was about at this point Dan was so furious that he kicked me out. Boy, did I mess up that part of the plan on returning to Drumheller. But I still had one more to go. I returned to the only place that I might be able to get a job, the Royal Tyrrell Museum. Things weren't looking good even when I got there, though. A bunch of dinosaurs that used to be on the inside got kicked out, including my cousin Allie, the Albertosaur. Me and Allie go way back. She wished me luck on getting my job back, but she cautioned me not to get my hopes up, because the museum had changed a lot since last I left. Allie wasn't understating it either. Getting inside, I was amazed to see how many exhibits had been changed or torn down. Even more surprising was the presence of a bunch of new dinosaurs I'd never seen before. One of them in particular, a baby Albertosaur, started giving me a hard time about being at the museum. Man, I was getting really mad. He wasn't that much bigger than me. I was gonna get him, but then all of a sudden, his mom intervened, and oh man, was she big and scary. She also demanded to know who I was, because apparently they were expecting a lot of new dinosaurs. When I told her, she told me to get out, because there was no room in the museum for old has-beens, only the wave of the future, which included her and her entire family. I wasn't feeling welcome, so I figured I'd just keep on going through the museum. Fortunately, things got better from there. I ran into a dinosaur who wanted to see me. My Aunt Black Beauty. She was really happy to see me. I was pretty glad to see her too. After catching her up on everything that happened to me, I realized I was getting pretty hungry. Fortunately, I was in the right place to get a meal. Oh, I forgot how good it is to have a real burger. Carrying on through the gallery, I just about stumbled across the perfect solution to my problem. The $1 billion rock. If I could get it out of there, I could buy the museum and tell them how to run things. I forgot how heavy that was, and in the middle of trying to lift it up, I got caught. Fortunately, it was just by Cam, though, who was like, no, dude, don't think about it. And I was like, okay, I don't want to go to jail. So I joined him on patrol in the museum, just like in the old times. As we walked, I tried to convince Cam that I could be part of the new display, but he said he didn't think it was a possibility, that they already had a small Tyrannosaurid. As the patrol went on, I couldn't believe how many exhibits were either under construction or just gone, and it was then I realized there was one display I definitely had to see before it was too late. That was, of course, my mom. And it was really sad because I said goodbye to her, because I realized it might be a long time before I came back, and when I did, she might not be here anymore. That was, of course, one of the most unfun things I've ever had to do in my life. Resuming the patrol with Cam, though, that was pretty cool. I remembered all the good times I'd had here at the museum, and all the good friends that I had made. Including Cam. Even though he was the one who laid me off, I knew it was just part of his job, so I told him that I forgave him at that point, and he said that was pretty cool of me. It was at about this point that we reached the end of the gallery. As we stood looking at the last display, I asked Cam if there was any chance I could get my job back. He just said no. I was about to get seriously bummed out, but Cam turned to me and he said, "Cheer up, Traumador. Once upon a time, I got kicked out of my old hometown. And you know what? It turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. I found my true place in the world. This is just your opportunity to find yours." And I was really moved. I needed to go to somewhere to think about everything that had happened. That's how I wound up here at the Horseshoe Canyon. And now I really know why you can never go home. I just wish they had a saying that gave you a hint on what you're supposed to do after you can't go home. And as I stand here staring out across the Badlands of Alberta, I wonder where over that horizon lies a place for me. This horizon kind of reminds me of one I saw in BC. That was across the ocean. Wait a minute, that gives me an idea.